Designer Christina Haire has always loved antiques, so when she renovated the kitchen in her 1923 colonial-style home, she was watchful when it came to the details that reveal the history of the house and her personal story too. And it's all brought to light by the addition of a reproduction of an English conservatory. It's a fantasy.
We've lived here for 24 years. And when we decided that we needed a bigger house because we had our third child, we looked very, very actively for a whole year, and particularly in this neighborhood because we liked the age of it and the size of it.
In terms of the home's original kitchen, it was a case of good news, bad news.
The old kitchen had been done just a few years before we moved in by the elderly widow who lived here. The house at that point had its original kitchen and it was built in 1923. But it had not been done very well, unfortunately. The cabinetry was not good quality, nor were the appliances.
Besides improving on what the previous owners had already started, the Haires had a grander vision.
My husband and I have been Anglophiles for a long time. We do a lot of traveling in England, and we spend a lot of time there. So one of the things that we particularly loved were the conservatories in England.
They decided to add a conservatory off their new kitchen.
We would use it as a breakfast room, and it would be very much part of the garden. So our plan always was to have a table and chairs for dining, and we would use that for our everyday meals, and then to have two comfortable chairs with two ottomans that we could actually, my husband and I could sit in there and actually read and curl up. The original floors in the kitchen were linoleum over a pine subfloor, so we decided to use wood floors because we liked the feel of it, and we didn't want the conservatory to actually feel like a cold room, and we felt that the floors would keep it warm. So we had the floors match the rest of the floors in the house, and we used a finish that would make it more impervious to water and damage. We picked the cabinetry because it had some very nice detail. They are wood cabinets, hardwood cabinets that have a white color wash on them, so it actually makes them a little less susceptible to chipping and peeling as a solid painted cabinet does. And we varied the look by, or we tried to keep the look by making the cabinets have a slight Gothic panel arch on them, and that mirrors the conservatory, which has a Gothic arch. I basically decided to keep everything in white, but didn't worry at all about matching the whites because I think it's more interesting if you have highs and lows and different textures. That's what keeps it from looking very flat and uniform. So the countertops are a solid surface. The tiles are very, very simple, handmade ceramic Italian tile, and the color comes from the accessories in the room. Blue and white became the concept that I had for the conservatory as part of the outdoors, and I thought it was such a crisp, clean feeling with the white, so we concentrated on using the blue and white and expanding my china collection, which I happen to really like collecting. The biggest design challenge in doing this kitchen is that while it's a relatively good size kitchen, it has 4 openings and a window, and none of them could be eliminated, or actually the window could have been eliminated, but it was out of the question. So in order to fit everything in, we decided to use an island, and we maxed out the island. You begin to think very seriously in only 3-inch segments when you're doing something like this. But we maxed out the island to the biggest possible size we could have within there. So I decided that a cooktop would probably be the best because it wouldn't generally look messy. It would relatively be cleaned off, and you could actually face the conservatory when you were cooking and visiting with people who were in there.
Near the end of the kitchen makeover, Christina still had one kitchen wall that needed something special.
So I had an artist friend of mine whom I work with do a trompe-l'oeil painting to substitute for the piece of furniture that I couldn't have. And a trompe-l'oeil is a French term that means fool the eye, and it's used for paintings that are three-dimensional and so give the appearance of being very realistic. And so it's a combination of the blue and white and looking like an English Welsh dresser, and then has something on there for everybody in our family. There's the Wall Street Journal for my husband with the date that it was completed, and a fishbowl for one daughter, and a baseball for my son, and some jewelry on a plate for another daughter, and then all the plates and everything else part of the collections for me with our dog in the bottom. Well, we've enjoyed the conservatory and the new kitchen. It really turned out to be everything that we hoped it would be. The conservatory is almost it really is the heart of the house. The feeling is very English, very European, but especially English. And so we always have a reminder out there of our travels and our next trip that we're planning to England.
We'll be right back with a few closing comments on Kitchen Matters.